name is Phiona Nyamutoro. I'm the National Youth Representative and also, by the grace of God, the Minister of State for Mineral Development. I am excited to join you this afternoon, even if it's going to be for a very short time. I think from the energies in the room, it is very evident that associating with the young people is the right course to take. However, I was concerned when I saw Rukundo flashing a sign. I hope that's a UDA sign, not a political one. Otherwise, I would be concerned as a party member that the academy is now relinquishing us of members. Ladies and gentlemen, the graduates particularly, I cannot speak to anybody at the front here because their expertise I tap into every day. I sip from their cups of wisdom, but I can share my experience with those of you that are graduating today. I am thrilled whenever I share with young people who are passionate about governance, who are passionate about democracy, who are passionate about creating a difference in society. As the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy rightly states it, democracy starts with dialogue. I want to polish it further and say democracy starts with you, because you are the initiator of dialogue. Now, the time that you have spent in the academy, by now you are well conversant that the problems we face in society know no political affiliation. They are not colored in any of our political parties. And that is a strong message to you as a young person. Where do you stand in terms of your values? What are you fighting for? What do you intend to achieve? What is your vision? It is very important at the end of the day that amidst all this applause, amidst the joy, all the time that you have taken out, somebody mentioned the morning drills, and all the efforts that you have put in to see that we are celebrating you in this room today, to have intentional results. Results that are going to be impactful to the people that you intend to mingle with at the end of the day, but also for those of you who will take it, also for those of you who will take it a notch higher and go and offer themselves for different leadership positions at different levels and capacities. My prayer would be that many faces that are in this room can be able to produce the next members of parliament, the next ministers, the next directors, the next ambassadors, the next everything that we need to have a better Uganda. I am certain that when we are chosen from those that have been prepared, then we can see a future that our forefathers have always fought for. I thought I should just come and encourage you. I had a lot of enthusiasm in the room, and it reminded me of my Makerere days. In Makerere, we would say, we have won. Amidst all the life uncertainties as they present themselves, ladies and gentlemen, today you have won. And that calls for celebration, celebration in all aspects. Celebration for today, but the perpetuity in it is the celebration we shall have tomorrow. It will be our pride. I'm certain the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy and all our other partners will always footprint all of you as you go through the ladders. I am a proud associate as a youth leader. I have been groomed by different structures in the circles, and here I am today. I hope that knowingly or unknowingly, we can get to inspire many more young people to rise the ladders and make better leaders for this country. With those few words, I would like to congratulate all of you and wish you nothing but the best for the future. Unless from the faces I could tell, of course, before I ran away, I could take one or two questions. Yes? No? I can run? Oh, okay, this is interesting. Either I have spoken too much sense or I have spoken nothing at all. That's what it simply means. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I wish you a blessed evening and may the good Lord bless you.
Uganda Democracy Academy, individually and collectively, and I salute you upon the successful completion of your course. From students, you were graduates, and from graduates, you are now graduates, implying today we are channeling you to all the 4 regions of Uganda to preach the message of the democratic values, to preach the message of dialogue, which were the cornerstone of this training, among others. When we assemble like this, and you can see the cocktail of protocol in this assembly, we have the European Union, we have Netherlands, we have Westminster, and when we talk about democratic values are shared. If you have here the Prime Minister of Mali, Prime Minister Emeritus, is talking about the democratic values in the perspective of the continent of Africa. When you have Netherlands and European Union, they are preaching democratic values from the global perspective. But as citizens of Uganda, it is important for us to have our homegrown democratic values that must match with the international standards and the continental standards. I am happy to be here because when we talk about democracy, our definition of democracy was very, very clear. Rule of the people, by the people, for the people. That was it. Just like in my PLE, the first question in SST was, what is a map? Our time, the answer was clear. A map is anything seen from above. You get your full marks. When we assemble here, we are like you have entered into a restaurant where the menu has all the dishes you can order. The local one, for us, the malakwang, would be there. The national one, you may have beef. The international one, you may have salmon fish, to mention but a few. And for me, I want to focus my closing address to our homegrown democratic path. Because on the 9th of October 2024, Uganda will be celebrating 62 years of independence, implying Uganda is not a child under the laws of Uganda. Uganda is not a youth under the laws of Uganda. At 62, Uganda qualifies to be called an elder. At 62. But what has been our democratic path? This is a subject matter that we must keep inculcating, because there are moments in our 62 years of our democracy, of our independence, that we must reflect on as a people. We must reflect on as a nation, and we pose ourselves 3 questions. Where are we from? Where are we now? And where do we intend to go? And the third question is very, very critical for you. The young leaders from the different political parties are represented in Parliament. In 1962, the brave Ugandan then led the process that led to the lowering down of the British Union Jack and the raising up of our national colors, black, yellow, red, symbolizing independence, implying Ugandans were ready to take lead of their country from the British. We are told in history there are 4 senior citizens here, the Honorable Mama Victoria Sech-Toleko, Honorable Beatrice Chirasho, Honorable Major General Mugisha Muntu, and I saw Honorable Dr. Francis Bwenye. But majority of us are young people, either born in the 80s or 90s, is constituting almost 95% of this assembly. And when we talk about our homegrown democratic principles, we must be mindful that from the time we attain independence to the time 2024, what has Uganda gone through? You are all aware that 4 years after independence, there was a crisis in 1966. 1 year after the crisis, there was the pigeonhole constitution, where all members went. That is where our documents are kept. That is what gave rise to naming that constitution the pigeonhole. They were put in the pigeonholes of members. Along the way, you know, there was a coup. 1980, we remember 2 things. One was the titular heads of state, those who led under notice, legal notice number 5 of 1980. You can't imagine that at one point, 3 people would sit or stand, titular heads of state, to receive credentials from ambassadors accredited to Uganda. This is part of our history. In 1980, we are told about the elections, where I am told there was a kind of a pronouncement, like a decree, where one part of Uganda never voted. And that is what led some of our seniors, like General Mugisha Muntu, to retreat and get involved in the People's Protracted War because of that democratic history in 1980. 1986, the National Resistance Army took over power. I am happy that in this assembly we equally have one of the youngest, if not the youngest army commander in the post-independence history of Uganda, General Mugisha Muntu. Just like we have the Prime Minister Emeritus, the youngest in Mali, if not in Africa. But also speaking, is the youngest cabinet minister in this season and time in the cabinet of the Republic of Uganda. So you can see how young people are progressively, steadily taking charge. In this assembly alone, the youngest former prime minister. This assembly alone, the youngest former army commander. In this assembly alone, the youngest serving cabinet minister in the Republic of Uganda. So young people, there is hope. 1995, we promulgated the 1995 Constitution. And what is key in that Constitution is not chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, or the different articles. To me, normally, I read and internalize the preamble of the 1995 Constitution that talks about our democratic path, that talks about our democratic history, that talks about our democratic trajectory as a country. And we committed as a people that never shall Uganda get back to the past. We committed as a people that Uganda must not have coups after coups. Uganda must be led through a process. After every 5 years, you present yourself to the people of Uganda for leadership positions from the chairman LC5 to the president, and you are elected through that democratic process. So the fundamental question for you young people is that, where do you intend to take this country? Our generation is now leading. We took over from the generation of the Honorable Mama Victoria. We are now here. The next in the queue is your generation. You can either choose to take Uganda back to where we came from, or you should choose to practice the democratic principles that you have been getting from the modules and lessons that you were going through. Why must a member of the National Resistance Movement fail to sit on the same table with a member of the Forum for Democratic Change, with a member of a Democratic Party, with a member of ANT, with a member of NUP? What unites you is the blood of brotherhood and sisterhood, that you are all Ugandans. And this country is big enough to accommodate all of us. I know one would again challenge me that we are now 45 million plus, but when we attained independence, our population was less than 7 million. But I still believe the country is big enough to accommodate us. That is what we must be asking. So your generation must ask. We were told of countries within Africa whose leadership have been taken up through coups and the attempted coups in Africa. Is that something you want to venture into? Would you want to take back Uganda and be like other sister countries around? Do you think you can have such an assembly in Somalia? Do you think you can sit like the way we have sat here in Sudan at the moment? The answer is definitely no. Why? Because the countries I have mentioned, our sister nations, are in political turmoil, anchored majorly on democratic values and principles. So that is the million-dollar question. For us, we shall be on stage. The best footballer has a time to retire. The best politician equally has time to retire. Even at the airport, there is an arrival lounge and the departure lounge. So there is a time for everything. But what kind of country shall we hand over to you? And where shall you take this country is the question that you must ask yourselves. We want to retire for all intent and purposes. I love to call myself villager in the Prado. You like calling it VIP. The word VIP, it's an abbreviation that stands for villager in Prado. The four of us standing here, we are from 4 different villages in Uganda. None of us is from a town. From Kumi, are you from a town? From your district, are you from a town? Bundebuju definitely is like a lepton. My brother, Kalangala definitely no. So our time for leaving the stage will come. So friends, I come here just to share with you this trajectory such that you can recall our history. And when we talk about democratic values and principles, normally the highest is at the level of president. I also want to share with you briefly. Apart from that time when the country was so hot and needed 3 heads to sit, under legal notice number 5 as I stated, there is a time when this country was headed by a gentleman who was 68 years old and he led the country for 68 days. "68 years old, 68 days in leadership as president." You are all aware there is also a political party that lost power twice. Yeah, I'm talking about facts, and these are statements of facts because they are part of our history. So do we want to get back to such? That I am 44 years, by the grace of God I take 44 days, like 68 years old, 68 days, that 3 people must again sit and we refer to them as presidents. I don't know whether in the second module, because I'm seeing this was falling under the second module. Because even when you go to offices in Uganda, one thing we have forgotten when we talk about presidents of Uganda from 1962 to date, we forget about the titular heads of state. And they had the executive power. That is the late Wacha Olwol, Justice Nyamutoro, and Justice Musoke. For law students who are here, you must be knowing this. That legal notice number 5 are the force of law. But normally when you see portraits of our presidents, even as a country we forget. But that is part of our democratic path, democratic history. And now from 1986 to date, one person, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. That one. In a nutshell, move to the north, move to the east, move to central, move to west, but please, never forget about the history of your country. In whatever you plan to do, never. The Kenyans tested. You can see again protest. A country can degenerate. It is very, very easy to bring down this building, but to rebuild it will take you months, not even days, or years. But in a blink of an eye, it can be bombed. But to rebuild this hall where we are seated, you need months, if not years. So our country is big enough. In terms of the way forward, I want to say, even when we complain, even when we make necessary or unnecessary noise, we have something to build on. There is a foundation we can build on and make it better and better and better until we reach the best. That is my plea to you. We do not need to destroy this democratic foundation that we have built for 62 years. At least we can stand somewhere. If there was nothing like that democratic path, I would have not joined parliament at the age of 25. The elders in Lango would say, you are too young. You are too young to go to parliament, sit home. It is time for elders. But I came at the age of 25. By the grace of God, I am still around. I am now 44. You can see. So we broke the jinx and gave young people an opportunity. And you young leaders, you must admire, you must be inspired, you must be motivated by your seniors who gave rise to what we are witnessing today. But of course, we must also thank the NRM because it gave the opportunity to young people. It gave the opportunity to women. It gave the opportunity to persons with disabilities, people who used to be rejected in our societies. It gave the opportunity to the workers. It gave the opportunity to the national army. Because when you look at coups within Africa, it is normally the army. So it is important for the army to be represented in the top-notch decision-making body. And you get to know what takes place therein. I can speak and speak and speak, but friends, ladies and gentlemen, once again, congratulations, young leaders. You are very fortunate that you have all this. The Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy, funding the Uganda Democracy Academy, the European Union, our partners, the Westminster, among others. For us, we came deep from villages. But here we are. We did not get such golden opportunities. But here we are. The only thing I can talk about Aleptong in the democratic history of Uganda is that you cannot write the history of Uganda without the name Aleptong. If I'm the one marking you and I don't find Aleptong and you are talking about the democratic history of Uganda, I will give you F9. Because if we are talking about the military, those who studied the 1964 Zanzibar Revolution, Field Marshal John Okello, although the Field Marshal is detested in certain quarters, I don't know whether General agrees to that, but at least we studied about Field Marshal John Okello of 1964 Revolution of Zanzibar. Where is he from? From my humble village called Aleptong. So can you write that history and fail to talk about that humble man who took over Zanzibar without a bloodshed? 1972, the first Olympic gold medalist in the history of Uganda, the late John Akibwa. Where is he from? Aleptong. 1961, the first election we had to the first parliament called the Legislative Council. Former President and Prime Minister Apollo Milton Obote stood in East Lango, and his headquarters was at the present Aleptong district headquarters. We are the ones who elected him, and he later on superintended over the independence of Uganda. So when you ask who elected Obote to come and bring down, witness the bringing down of the British Union Jack, it is still Aleptong. So I am now going local such that you also try to look at the history of your local place. If the history of Uganda is written, will they talk about your district, your village? I now tell them the first government chief whip in the history of Uganda on the other side of Karuma is also from Aleptong. Can you imagine? Can you see the grace of God? Nothing else but the grace of God. And we must not abuse that grace of our Father who lives in heaven, of our Father we do not see. You are only 30 here from 4 geographical regions of Uganda, and we are talking about the youngest population, or second youngest being. Isn't that a golden opportunity for you? Please go and deliver the message you have received. We shall make you fishers of men. Go and preach the good news of democratic values. With these words, once again, I thank all of you for accomplishing your tour of duty. I thank all our partners. I thank all the senior leaders who are here with the young people. We still need your guidance. Senior leaders, do not leave us, the young people, alone. We need your guidance. We build on your experience. We build on your exposure. We build on the fact that some of the things that we are talking about as young people, you witnessed yourselves. May the good Lord bless you all, and I now discharge you by the grace of God the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit for God and my country.